Welcome to Three Skulls Tavern, a channel devoted to tabletop role-playing games by Free League Publishing. This show is sponsored by WorldMill, online server hosting for the Foundry virtual tabletop. To support the show, head over to patreon.com/MattK. For a minimum of $2 per month, you get access to a ton of extra content. Hello, and welcome everyone to this episode about Foundry and getting Foundry set up for the One Ring 2nd edition. If you're new to the channel, as that little intro video just said, this channel is completely devoted to the tabletop role-playing games by Free League Publishing, so that includes the One Ring, the new edition anyway, all of the Year Zero engine games, Symbaroum, Merkborg, arguably, I mean, they're distributing it really rather than creating it, but still, this channel is devoted to those games because I love those games. I'm writing my own content in them, etc., and that's me. I've been running a lot of actual plays on this channel since it started a year and a half ago, and I eventually moved from various other virtual tabletops like Gtove, a free one, to Foundry. And yeah, I've been setting up a lot of games in Foundry, been learning a lot about it, and decided that I had a free evening tonight and thought, you know what, I think it might be of a lot of use to people potentially to show them how we set up a game, actually set up the One Ring specifically in Foundry. And the reason I say that is because at the moment of recording this video, the system module for the One Ring is still in beta. It's not completely finished yet. And that's fine because the official rule set for the One Ring 2nd edition isn't even... we've got the PDFs. The final PDFs have just arrived fairly recently. None of us have the physical copies of the game yet. So it's actually the Foundry module, which we'll be looking at shortly, is quite good actually, because it was originally created as like a spin-off of the 1st edition Foundry module for the One Ring. Anyway, one thing I need to caveat here very heavily is that Free League have confirmed that there will be no premium module for the One Ring. That's because of licensing issues. Unlike pretty much all of their other games which have premium Foundry modules. And the premium modules really make a GM's life a lot easier because you instantly have access to all sorts of content from the game right from the get-go, assuming you've purchased that premium module. Now with the One Ring, that is not the case. So there is a lot of heavy lifting on the GM. You've got to import a lot of content yourself. You've got to basically start everything from scratch because nothing in the Foundry module that exists, the system module, none of the content in there is basically copyrighted content. Another big thing to mention, please don't ask in the comments or in the chat for me to share any of the content I'm going to be producing here. I'm going to be doing everything manually, and I'm only going to be starting the process. I'm not going to actually get a full-fledged instance of the One Ring going because we've already done that for a One Ring stream that we're running, a campaign we're running on the channel right now. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be starting from scratch. I'm going to be showing the process of going through and how to add content, some tips and tricks in terms of Foundry, etc., etc. So those are all kind of the caveats out of the way. And I guess that's really it. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing to look at really here is Foundry itself. Now I am using a hosting service called WorldMill. Links are in the description below. And that's mainly because I have a pretty dodgy internet connection. I live in the countryside in Germany, and while Germany has quite a good broadband internet infrastructure, when you get out into the countryside, it gets pretty shit. And where I live, that is the case. And therefore, for me to host games and to be streaming on YouTube at the same time, there would be a lot of bandwidth on my end for me to locally host Foundry and to be using that alongside everything else I'm doing. So I have a hosting partner. There are other hosting partners that you could use, like the Forge, for example. But being based in Europe, I've gone with WorldMill because they're based in the UK, and they have pretty much a vanilla instance of Foundry running. So you pay for hosting, and what you get is pretty much the same Foundry that you would get if you were to run it locally on your own computer. And I really like that. The Forge has lots of bells and whistles, and it gets hard to share things between different users and things. And they're also based in North America, so there are some issues there with server data centers and things. Which, yeah, I mean it's not a big deal, but I'd get a bit of a faster service with WorldMill, and I've been really happy with them. I've been using them the whole time we've been using Foundry. So that plug aside, you can find links again to WorldMill down in the links below if you're interested in checking them out. But this is basically one of the Foundry, like I have two what are called mills on WorldMill. Those are basically two Foundry installs. I have two licenses for Foundry, and I have one installed in one place and one installed in another. So this is one of them here. We had an Alien campaign on the channel, and this is the instance of Foundry we're using for that Alien game. So as you can see, I have a Mutant Year Zero and an Alien game set up on this instance of Foundry. Nothing to do with the One Ring, because that's on my other one. So we're going to start it from scratch. So basically what you do, just to show you what I'm using here as well, I've got Foundry set up to version 0.8.9. I'm not going to be changing that until version 0.9 comes out of testing and is stable and is in the stable branch. And then we're going to get card support, which is great because there are cards in the One Ring, and I'm not going to be covering how to get them in. I might do a video in the future once 0.9 drops and we have that long-awaited card support. And I've played with it a bit, so I'm not actually trying to do it live on air, figuring out how the whole thing works. And then I'll show basically how to get the cards out of the PDFs that we've got into Foundry so that we can actually use them in Foundry. So we come over here. Again, there's no game world here. I can't create a new world yet because I don't have the system installed on this instance. So we come over to Game Systems. We click on Install System. We can give it a minute to load, but really just go into Package. Oh, this is a new one here. Asian Punk. And we type in the One Ring, I think. Yeah, and right at the top here you can see the One Ring 2nd Edition. We're going to hit Install. You can see the little blue bar. It installs very quickly. And straight away you can see we're getting no compatibility issues with the current version of Foundry that we're using. That's really great because that means there are no compatibility. It's basically this version. This is version 0.010 of the One Ring module is updated for 0.8.9. So that's good. That means it's up to date. In fact, if we go to the GitHub page or the GitLab page for the Foundry module, I want to keep this open because it's going to actually show us how to use it once we get it running. And you can see if we go all the way down, I think to the bottom, it'll show us the kind of changelog where you might be able to see. No, it'll be on the Foundry page. It'll show when it's last been updated. But it's going to be pretty up to date right now. Yeah. So anyway, we got that installed now. We're going to do add-on modules. I guess I'll do that in a second. First thing to do, though, is I can come over to Game Worlds now, and I can create a new world. I'm going to just call it Tour 2 Demo. We're going to call this Tour 2-Demo. Game System. Again, I have to have had this installed for them to show up in this drop-down menu. That's why I had to install it first. But there we have it there. The One Ring 2nd Edition. Background image we're going to leave blank for now. Next session we're going to leave blank for now. And just hit Create World. And there you can see at the bottom here we have this Tour 2 Demo world. Now before I launch it, I actually want to look at the module, the add-on modules. And I'm not going to be adding any extra ones. I just, in fact, I'm probably not going to show... What I might do is in another... I'm just going to quickly open this in another window here. I'm going to see which modules we're using on the other instance that we're running. So give me 1 second here. One thing I probably should have done in advance. Apologies for that. So if I bring this over... There we go. This is a different browser. And you can see here that we have this One Ring Second Edition campaign world. So if I launch that world and I set myself up as lore helper, I'm not sure. I've got a password manager. I'm not that keen on potentially all my usernames being flashed in front of the public. So Tavern 1. There we go. There we go. Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly open this. Go over here to the gear icon, and we're gonna go to Manage Modules, and you can see here there's a bunch of map modules that we're currently using for this. I want to use all the same ones because this is we've done only 2 sessions, but yeah, the module list is I'm pretty happy with. So I'm going to keep this open. I'm going to move it over to my other monitor, and I'm just going to make sure that all of these are installed currently before I start up the game world in the demo that we're going to be running. So come over here. First one I want to use is actor sheet macros. That's not so important for well, yeah. I quite like this one. Basically what this does is it allows you to drag and drop an actor, which is like a player character, onto the macro bar. Anybody can do it, and then you can just click on that on the actor on the PC or the NPC on the macro bar, and it opens their character sheet instantly. So it's a nice quick way to open a character sheet. So I really like that one. Backgroundless pins isn't there, so I can just see it in the background there. So backgroundless pins. Yeah, again, probably not using that one, but I'm just to make sure I've got everything installed as I normally do. Compendium folders. Is already installed. Good. Dice I should be installed already. Yep. Easy table. Oh, that's a big one. So easy table by Blitz. This is an absolute godsend if you're doing any creating tables for like random rolling and things like that. We will create at least one and get a macro going for that as well. GM screen is absolutely one of my favorite modules. I highly recommend it. Get that installed. There's going to be we're going to have some libraries that are dependencies for some of these modules, so we'll just get those installed. Keybind lib. Then we got lib color settings. Okay, lib wrapper I think we need as well. Yep. What else do we need here? DF hotkeys I think we need. Yep. What else? We need color settings, document sheet registrar, and lib wrapper. Oh, we already did lib wrapper, didn't we? Yeah. Color settings is already activated. Okay. Then I think we got everything there. Yeah. Okay, then we need minimal UI. This is another one I really like. I might not actually be using it for this demo, but again, I'm going to be installing all the modules I highly recommend so people can see when they're watching this video which ones are actually going to be quite good for running. So Monk's Enhanced Journal is a really nice journal module that I quite like. Pings is... okay, it's already installed. That should be part of the core Foundry experience in my opinion, but whatever. Settings extender... already installed. All right, good. So I'm just going to hit the update all button. I've already done this previously just so I don't have to sit through it, but there you go. There's been no window popping up, which means it's all good. We're all good. Okay, so go over to Game Worlds now. Tor 2 demo. Click Launch World. Select the user, Game Master. Password, default password is nothing. It's just empty. And there we go. So there's some migration messages kind of popping up. We can just ignore those for now. Okay, and here we are. We've got no scene, so we can quickly create a scene. In fact, we're going to create a scene later. We're not going to create the scene just yet. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to activate the modules that we want to use. So we come over to the module again, to the gear icon, which is game settings. Go to manage modules, and we're just going to activate the ones that we want here. So we want actor sheet macro. We want backgroundless pins. We want compendium folders. We want Dice So Nice. We want Easy Table by Blitz. We want the GM screen. We want all the keybind, the libraries, etc. Now, fog, I don't really use fog myself because I'm not much of a battle maps person. I like theater of the mind, but you might want to use that. So color settings is required. I've already got color settings there, so that should be fine. Yeah. Monk's Enhanced Journal needs Document Sheet Registrar, which is already there. Yep, it hasn't been installed yet. That's why the error is coming up. You can't find it currently installed on the system. So don't worry about that. Pings, yep, needs Settings Extender. That's fine. Settings Extender has just been ticked. And that was the last one there. Yeah. There are so many other macros that you might, or modules I should say, not macros. So many more modules that you might want to be using. These are kind of the ones that we're using for our The One Ring one. The ones I highly, highly recommend are Actor Sheet macros, Dice So Nice, Easy Table, GM Screen, Minimal UI I really like, and yeah, Pings. Pings is really quite good. Okay. And instantly you can see, look, if I get rid of this pause menu here, I've got a really minimalist display here now. I've got this on the side. I can always open it up by clicking on the arrow, and I've got the normal thing, but it starts now as a default shrunk down. I have the macro bar is hidden. If I just drag in the middle there, it pops up. If I drag over on the side, once I have a scene going, the scene will have a little bar here. But because I don't have a scene, I don't have the scene controls on the side. One thing I do want to do here is I want to quickly configure the minimal UI one. So I just go over to configure game settings, module settings, drag it down till I get to minimal UI. And with this one, what I want to have is I want to have the where is it? The top left here. I want there to be a visible logo. So it says Foundry logo visibility. We're gonna have it as a small one. Yeah, save. And there it is. So what I can do is I can just click on that once or twice. Yeah, so if I click on it once, everything is hidden on here. Like even that little thing down there has gone away. I click on it again and the things come back. These little like shadowy bits, which you might not be able to see very well, are there to show I can open the macros, etc. But if I click on it again, they're all gone and I don't have access to them anymore. So it's like a way to hide your your user face completely. Anyway, that's minimal UI. I really like that just because I like having a minimal user interface. Quickly go to configure settings one more time, and I'm going to go over to Dice So Nice, and I'm going to configure this very quickly. These are the configuration settings I highly recommend for running the One Ring. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is when you're rolling some dice, you've got these kind of funky, like whatever the color is for the person logged in, it's going to color some of these in that color. So you can see here I've got red dice for these are actually the One Ring like custom dice, and we don't want them to be the color being set by the player. We want them to be the color that they're meant to be. So the way we do this is we change the dice color settings here to be white. So you just click there, change it to white. If I'm rolling any of the other dice here, you can see that they're not showing anything now because we've got the labels as white, so we're going to change the labels to black. There we go. I also prefer the font here, American Typewriter. It just looks a bit sharper, I think, a bit nicer on the dice. That's all we do there, but then we come over to preferences. I tend to keep exactly as they are there. Special effects. Now, special effects, this is what I really, really like to do. I like to set, we go over here to the plus, and we're going to start adding some of the dice. So DS is the skill dice, I think they're called. And when it rolls a 6, we're going to say we want it to have a special effect, which is called Particles Blaze. We're going to roll some dice to show you what exactly this looks like. But this is a really nice way with a custom dice to be able to show how things, the different die results, what they come up with. Then we go to the DW die. I can't remember what these all stand for, but basically this is also going to give a Particle Blaze. I'll look later to see what the exact names of these dice are, but it's basically like, I think it's called a skill dice, and I can't remember what the W is called off the top of my head. Blaze, again, for that one. Then we're going to look at the DF, and the DF are like the GMs, the bad, I think that's the... Ooh. This is one where I need to actually be very careful, because one of these is rolled by the GM, and one of them is rolled by the player. And depending on how it goes, the 11 and the 12 spot, so if we're just going to, we'll just say that basically the DF we're just going to assume it's kind of the feet. I think it's called the feet die, which is the one we want. When it rolls an 11, we want it to have a magic vortex. And when it rolls a 12, we want it to have the double spiral. And all that this means is those are the two special condition dice. The magic vortex is going to be rolled when you get an Eye of Sauron, and the double spiral is going to be rolled when you get the Gandalf rune. And that's just how the game works. You get they work specially in the game depending on if you roll those dice. We're going to keep adding here. The DE die are also similar to the DF die. I think it might be for enemies, and I think this should be the other way around technically, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. You might need to play with this. So particles, magic vortex, particles, double spiral. You might need to swap those around, because if it's just the GM rolling these, then it's on the Eye of Sauron, it's a success. But it doesn't matter. It's just all that this is saying is when you roll these when these dice are specific dice are rolled, and they come up with these values on the dice, you're going to get these particles. And I could change it to say, in fact, that's going to happen on an 8 and on a 7 and on a 6, etc. It's always going to have this this magic vortex. So you there's a lot of flex. Oh god. Oh god. X, go away. X, go away. Okay. Then I want to have the D6, just in case I roll a D6. The D6 I always want to have on a 6 to come up with this blaze to show, oh yeah, a 6 is good. It's like a special success that you can roll. Likewise, if you roll a D12, add one more here. On a D12, it's worth noting that the 11 is always the Eye of Sauron, and the 12 is always the Gandalf rune. So we're going to make sure that those look like that as well. And that's it. So I'm just going to hit save. Oh, I'm going to go back in there. Sorry. And I'm going to go back to special effects. In fact, it doesn't matter where I am. I'm going to hit test roll. Look here. It's an Eye of Sauron, and it had that little spirally... that was the magic vortex, right? We'll do another test roll. I'm not seeing anything. Nope. One more test roll. There, that's a 6 has been rolled, and that had this particle effect blaze. So anyway, as you can see, every time you're rolling those dice, it's basically going to be doing those cool effects. So that's one thing I really like to do with all of my games. It just adds a little bit of eye candy to your Foundry instance. So I'm just looking in the chat because I haven't been glancing at it. DW is for weary, DF is the feet dice, right? And D is for adversary. So the adversary dice, actually, I probably should change that. As I could see, it was the black dice being rolled there in the test. So we go here, my dice settings. And really, because it's the enemies, we're going to make it on an 11, which is the Eye of Sauron. That's actually going to be the success criteria when that's rolled. And the magic vortex is going to be on the Gandalf rune. So we do a test roll for that. Watch the black die. We're going to keep rolling until the black dice rolls something interesting. Come on. Come on. Now another way I can do this. Let's close this very quickly. I can come over to the chat bar, and I can say we're gonna roll, so /R, and we're gonna roll 20 DE. Right, Eye of Sauron. That's a good one. There's the double, so the Gandalf rune. So it's doing the thing we wanted to do. So there we go. That's how it works in practice. Good. So, what other modules have we got? What else do I need to set up with the modules before I move on to all the other stuff? Because the modules, making sure the modules are correctly set up is very important to make sure, everything else is working as it should be. GM screen. I'll probably show you how this works, but for now, you can add extra tabs. I'm going to do that actually now just to show you. Click here on tabs config, and basically just add a tab. So we could say here, we could have one that says PCs, right? We can have one that says combat actions. Whatever. You can have one that says journeys, etc. Hit save changes. When I open this now, there they are. We've got different tabs that open with this GM screen. You can also control the height here. So it's opening to 60. I can move it up to 70, or I can move it up to 80. I think I need to save it first. That did not seem to work. That's interesting. Sets the height of the GM screen in drawer display mode. Drawer display is drawer. Okay, I don't know why that's not working. It should work. We'll put this 70 for now. But what it basically, that toggle there does is it basically tells you how high you want this to go when you open it. Would you want it to cover your whole screen? Do you just want to make it cover this much, etc.? I think it's percentage of the screen. It doesn't actually say here whether it's a percentage, but I think that's what it is. Because this looks like 60% of my screen height. You can have a condensed GM screen button, which I think just gives you the icon. It doesn't seem to be working very well here. Interesting. Oh, reset. There we go. I hit reset, the refresh button, and it's popped it up a bit higher. And now when I shrink it down, it's just got the icon, which, yeah, you can kind of tweak to how you like. But that's a really, really handy thing to have. The main thing to note here, we'll be playing with this in a bit, is you can change the panels here. So I can say I want a panel here that's actually half of the GM screen. So you'd say I want it to span 3 rows and 2 columns. And there we've got, as you can see, one that takes up half. And we can drag and drop journal entries, as you can see here, tables, actors, items, and just drop them in here. It's a really handy thing to have to really quickly access stuff. And in fact, with actors, you can actually manipulate the actors' entries directly from the GM screen. So you can change, like, you can just, at the click of a button here, you can open your GM screen, you can have NPCs, you can have PCs in here, and you can change the values on the sheets directly in the GM screen while you're, like, tabbing through other things. Super handy module to have. I highly, highly recommend it for every single game that you're going to be running with Foundry. Oh, I just noticed, yeah, in chat, Hervé is the module, like, author, the guy who's making the module. So it's very cool to have him in the chat as well. If I've got any questions, very, very cool. So yeah, thanks for turning up and watching. Just very quickly, in fact, if you've got any recommendations for modules that I haven't installed, I'd love to know. Like, if there's some, like, must-have ones that are really good to use with this, please let me know. Just looking once more here, GM screen. These are just libraries. I don't need to do anything with them. The minimal UI, I'm just going to leave it kind of at the default settings for now. Monk's Enhanced Journal, I'm going to leave. Pings, I'm going to leave default. And that's it. So I'm done with these, so I'm going to leave that for now. The next thing to do is I want to actually, I'm going to open this up a bit. What we want to do is we want to create like a landing page, right? So at the moment, there's nothing there. What I usually like to do is I like to create like a welcome scene, and we'll call this just simply welcome. Create new scene. Accessibility, I want everyone to be able to see this screen because it's a welcome screen that everyone's going to see when they come on. Navigation name, it's just going to keep the name as welcome, and like, if I wanted to change it to something else, I'll just type in here welcome anyway. Background image, we'll get to the background image now. And we'll talk about scene dimensions and things like that, padding, etc. But basically, what I want to do is, I'm not showing this because, yeah, but basically, if you've bought the One Ring, you'll get a PDF that has the full map of Eriador or the Shire. And there currently aren't any image files for virtual tabletops. Hopefully, we will get those at some point in the future, but at the moment they don't exist. So I've got a bunch of professional PDF tools, and I have managed to get a high quality 8,000 pixel wide like map in JPEG form. And I'm not going to share that. I'm not going to share how I've done that because I'm really hoping that Free League will be producing image files for these maps anyway. And the way that I've done it really shouldn't be shown on a public video, mainly because at the moment all these PDFs are locked. So whether you're going to be doing a screenshot of the PDF or saving the PDF to a different format, there's lots of different ways you can do this. I'll leave you to figure that out because I don't want to be promoting how I've done it because there's a big argument there that it's circumventing, file protection, and I want to be very careful that I'm not advocating that. So hopefully in the near future we'll have the JPEGs or the PNG files or whatever image files that we can use these on a virtual tabletop. Until then, I've got my big JPEG. So the way I do this is if I load it up here, I come to now I'm using this I'm using this website here called Photopea. You can find a link in the description below. Now, I actually use Photoshop myself. I have Photoshop CS6, and I use that I've been using it for a very, very long time. I'm very fluent in it. And recently I discovered this website called Photopea. They're not paying me to promote them at all, but it's a great like Photoshop clone. It's a website, and it has pretty much all the functionality you get in Photoshop for free. You get an ad. So if I quickly hide my video here, you can see that there's an ad here on the side. We've got this nice ad going on the right hand side. Yeah, so that's the payoff. You can pay a premium, like for a premium license, to get rid of the ads, but you don't have to do that. In fact, if I click here up here on account, you can see here that here's the licensing. I've got a free, I've got the free service, and I would have to pay a bit of money to, to get rid of the ads. And pretty straightforward, really. There's some terms of service. If you're going to do that, obviously make sure you're reading the terms of service and everything. But this is a really, really great program, a really great website. You basically can just upload files to it from your hard drive. You can manipulate them online, like on the browser, and then when you're finished, you can save them back to your device. You can even, as you can see here, you can load up PSD files, you can load up AI files, XD files, sketch files, you can load PDFs, XCF files from GIMP, RAW files from a camera, or really a bunch of, like, it says any image files, so JPEGs, PNGs, TIFFs, GIFs, whatever. So I'm going to go here. You can actually, I think you can drag and drop stuff as well. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm going to go here and open. I'm going to go to my role-playing folder. I'm going to go down to the One Ring, and I'm going to go to, no, it's not there. It's under my podcast, Three Skulls, Foundry stuff, the One Ring. There we go. I'm going to open the Eriador map to start off with. No, I'm going to open the Shire map, I think. And I'm just taking quick note of the dimensions here. It's 8,000 by 6,200. I'm going to click open. And while that's loading, I'm going to go back over to Foundry. I'm going to type in here 8,000 by 6,200. That's my scene dimension. So I want that to match the dimensions of the JPEG I'm going to be uploading, or the image I'm going to be uploading. Here it is. That's what it looks like. So if I really wanted to, I could shrink it down. It's I think the size currently, if I go back to open, it should open to the same location. If I hover over it, it's 13 megabytes. Now 13 megabytes is way too big to be loading into Foundry. So for my preferences, because it's going to take some people long to load if they've got a slow internet connection. So I'm going to convert this to the format WebP. WebP is a supported file type in Foundry, and it's basically a very efficient image, like I think it's even lossless image file format. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Basically what it means is it can shrink the file size down without reducing quality and without reducing the pixel size significantly, and it shows up as an image in Foundry. So the way I do it is because I don't have any programs that natively save to WebP. Perhaps if you have Photoshop CC or if you have Affinity Photo, it might be able to do it as well. I just use this online convert website. Again, I've put a link in the description below. I actually have, as you can see here, I've created a free account with them. I haven't paid for it, and just creating a free account means that you can convert up to 4 files at one time. So I'm going to click Choose Files. I'm going to navigate again to my podcast folder, Three Skulls, Foundry stuff, the One Ring. I'm going to highlight these two, hit Open, and it's going to upload those two. So these are both about 13 megabytes in size. As soon as it's done here, I just hit the Start Conversion. So Pedro Juan has just said in the chat that you can actually save to WebP in GIMP. And GIMP runs on every operating system, basically. It runs on Linux for sure. It comes installed on most Linux distros, in fact. But you can get GIMP for Windows and GIMP for Mac as well. So it's done now. You can see these are both over 13 megabytes in size. I'm going to hit Start Conversion. Give it a second to process them. We'll see how big they are. I've tested lots of WebP converters online as well, and this is the best one I've come across. There might be better ones. If you have a better one that you know about, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear about it. But this one has worked quite well. I've done tons of converting PNGs and JPEGs to WebPs using this program for lots and lots of Foundry games that I've set up. Oh, it's taking a long time. I guess it's like nearly 27 megabytes, probably over 27 megabytes in total that it's uploading. Well, it has uploaded. Now it's processing them. It doesn't normally take this long. But again, I've not really done it for things this big. And if you look here, you can't really see because let me hide my face. But as you can see here, it's drastically reduced the size of these. Now those are still a bit big, still a bit too big for what I want. So I'm gonna go back to PhotoP. I'm going to see if the shortcut from Photoshop works here, which is Control-Alt-I. Yes, it works. I'm going to reduce the size down. We're going to leave this chain linked like this, or keeping the aspect ratio as it is. And I'm just going to reduce it down to, let's put it to like 5,000 pixels. And there we go. It's doing it automatically. Now I've just noticed here it's 5,000 by 3875. So we're going to change this again, 5,000 by 3875. Okay. I'm going to save this. We're going to hit the OK button first. It's going to take a minute for it to process it. There, it has done it. If I hit Control-0 on the numpad, it's going to just make it fit my screen here. And then File, Export as. I'm actually going to export this. It was saved as a JPEG, so I'm going to. It's a JPEG originally, so actually taking the JPEG and saving it as a PNG is kind of pointless, because you want to use a PNG when you want lossless image files, and from that you want to have like a the original file really. So I'm just going to save it as a JPEG again. Quality wise, I think I was saving it before at the slider goes to 12 on Photoshop. I'm going to save it like 80%. I think that should probably be enough. And you can see it's giving me 100% magnification here. That's perfectly fine. I mean, I can drop this down to, if we drop it down to like 20, just to show you what it looks like. You might not even be able to see it. Let's just drop it all the way down. 2%. So this is what the compression, like the image compression, looks like at lower levels. You can see up here there's some compression going on, and as we drag it up, it all basically just gets a lot better. We're seeing a lot, much better quality. And by the time you get up to sort of like 60, you're going to be struggling to notice it, even when you're like dragging. Like I can zoom in to 300%. Here it is at 70. If I drag it right up to 100, it's just smooth these edges ever so slightly. I'm going to leave it at 100. I'm going to hit save. It saved it as a, in my downloads. So now I'm going to go over to this file here. I'm going to go back to the start. I'm going to choose files, and I'm going to go to my downloads, and I'm going to click here. So this is 5,000 pixels on the biggest side. So I've not quite done a 50% like size shrinkage. It's more like, I don't know, 60-ish% of the original file size. And I didn't check to see how small that had saved it. It's actually 18.83 megabytes. That's because I've got it at 100% JPEG quality. But let's see how small this makes it. So I'm doing one. Oh, there we go. It's quick. And look, it's only 3.5 megabytes. That's perfect. So I'm going to hit download on that one. It's already done it automatically, so I didn't need two of them. That's been removed. Okay. We're going to come back here to Foundry. I'm going to go here to where it says background image. Click on this little icon here. And we're going to browse to, I want to browse to my user data, which I'm already in. I'm going to click on Worlds, Tor 2 Demo. We're going to go to Scenes, and just in the Scenes folder, I'm going to here upload, choose file, go to Downloads. There it is, and we've got the WebP right here, shiremap.webp. I've clicked it. It's there. I'm just going to let it sit for a minute while it's uploading. There it is. It's done. I click on it, hit Select File, and voila, there it is. I'm going to leave everything default as it is. I might just take the grid off. We'll have a grid list, because this isn't a gridded map, and I'm going to hit Save Changes. I'm changing the underlying dimensions of the scene, blah, blah, blah. I haven't placed anything. That's fine. Yes, thank you very much. And voila, here we have our scene. And if I zoom right in, you can see the quality is pretty good. I can zoom in pretty close. I'm not sure why it's got this gray border around here. Something's kind of gone a bit funny. If I right-click configure on welcome, 5003.875. Padding percentage. I don't want any padding, so maybe that's what that was. Save. Yes. There. Padding's gone. Okay. So, here we go. I've got my welcome screen, which is basically anytime somebody logs into this world in Foundry, they're going to come to this welcome scene, which is the first scene that I've got activated. And now you can see I've got all the controls on minimal UI are here on the left because I actually have an active scene. So that's the first thing you need to do. And I really want to just kind of talk through the process of getting a JPEG ready. I wanted to show, you know, a lot of people are probably just uploading JPEGs at big sizes, not thinking about it. Because you can absolutely load any of a JPEG or a PNG of any size into Foundry. But the bigger the file is, anytime somebody's connecting to your Foundry instance, because it's done online, their internet connection is going to have to download that asset to their computer for it to show up on their monitor. And the bigger the file, the longer that's going to take. So really you want to be thinking about trying to keep file sizes down for some of the big images. Certainly you don't want any image files. I would suggest over 5 megabytes on any single asset, because it's just, unless you've got some really special case, like you need to have a massive, massive battle map that you've created. There's probably still smarter ways of doing it, but if you really wanted to do it, that's fine. You just need to be aware that if some of your players have slow internet connections, it might take them a while before they can actually look at that map. And certainly you will have noticed that I've actually had an internet upgrade since I started this channel, but some of my earlier live streams, especially remembering like the Alien campaign, I was streaming and I was a player, and it was taking sometimes like 3 or 4 minutes before a new scene would even show up on my screen, because my internet connection was so slow and some of the assets were quite big. So that's out of the way. That's basically one thing I just wanted to show. I could create additional scenes here. So this says welcome. It's got the Shire. I could change this and just call it, instead of welcome. Whoa. Okay. Click configure. I could change this from being called welcome to Shire. Call it here Shire. And there's changed to be called, and that's what that is up there in the corner, right? Okay, so if I hit configure and I get rid of this navigation name, it's just going to default. It defaults to whatever the first name was. Fine. So I could call one Shire. I could create another scene and call it Eriador, because we got the Eriador map. And then what I would do is I would go here. I can click the X to get rid of this one. It's going to prompt me to save. I don't want to save it. Cancel. I would then just, not cancel, but okay. Then I go open Eriador map. Control Alt I, change that to 5,000 pixels again. Hit OK. Save it, etc., etc. Go over to my convert thing, drop it in, convert it to WebP, and then I would drop it in here. Change this to 5,000 by 3875. No padding on it. Gridless, and all players can see that as well. So we have another map one here. I'm just gonna hit save changes. It might not let me. It will. It does let me. It's just no map there, so it's just gonna be like this gray box. Yeah. So there we go. Maps. So you can have maps here. You can create additional scenes. You could create a welcome screen with artwork from the books. If we get some artwork from the books that we're able to have as like JPEGs or PNGs or anything like that. Yeah, Dark is saying in chat that there's a WebP plugin for Photoshop available. That's possible. I'm using an old version of Photoshop CS6. I mean, I could Google it, but I'll do it later. It's very possible. I might be able to do that. I probably should have checked that, because it would just save me this whole step of going to a convert program to create WebP format. So yeah, I'll look into that. Thanks for the tip. I also have Affinity Photo. I've bought a copy of Affinity Photo. The issue that I have with Affinity Photo is I've used Photoshop for so long, and because I have CS6, it's not in the Creative Cloud. I've bought it once. I own it. I don't pay any subscription fees for it. It's just I'm so much quicker in Photoshop, and I'm pretty sure Affinity. In fact, let me just open Affinity Photo just to see if that is the case. I really like Affinity. I use Affinity Publisher a lot. I use Affinity Designer a fair amount. But again, photo, don't show me. It's asking me to register. Hold on. All right, so here's Affinity Photo. If I open, I'm going to go to Podcast, 3 Skulls, Foundry Stuff, the One Ring, Area Door Map. Control Alt I. Hey, it works here too. Excellent. 5000, 3875, resize. And then let's see. Oh, it's done automatically. It's just changed this thing here. Now we're going to try and export it. Let's see if it exports to. There's no WebP format here. So unfortunately, you can't do it in Affinity Photo, it looks like. Interesting enough, it has an SVG file format. I don't know if any of these other formats are supported in Foundry. I'm only aware that WebP is. So anyway, it looks like you can't do it in Affinity Photo. GIMP, you can do it. It looks like there's a plugin for Photoshop as well. So cool. Anyway, that's that. Now we're going to be looking at some of the other stuff you can do in Foundry. And one of the first things we're going to be looking at is character creation. So we click over here to actors. We're going to create an actor. And we have several opportunities here for different types of actors. We have characters, which are PCs. We have NPCs. NPCs specifically being, you know, other hobbits or humans or people you're going to interact with. We'll create one of each so you can see what they all look like. So for character, we're going to create a player character first. And we're going to call this, we'll call this Frodo. Create actor. Here's what it looks like, and you'll notice it, like, you won't notice, but instantly I'm not going to be able to click on anything or change anything. I can type some stuff in here, but when I'm actually trying to add skills and everything, it's not working, and that's because I have to hold down, whoops, Alt, oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. If you hold down the Alt key, you can basically edit some of these fields. And if you've gone too many and done, oh no, I've done 3 athletics, it should only be 2. If you hold down Alt and Shift, I think it is, yeah, it takes them away. So that's how it works. And again, you can go to the GitLab page here, and it will tell you basically how to use the project. And it says here, shift click. Oh, this is for rolling. If you click on an element that should roll some dice, you can shift click to avoid the customization roll pop up. But it's saying here Alt and click is to basically modify the contents, and it says somewhere lower down that you do the Shift Alt here. Shift Alt is to remove a level for it. Okay, so we might need to come back and reference this a bit later, but for now, it's fine. So basically, you would create your character. I'm just kind of showing this very briefly because this is how it goes. If we open up, I'm going to open up the PDF now for the One Ring, and if we go to Adventurers, which is the chapter on creating characters, basically there's a bunch of stuff to it, but in a nutshell, I probably don't want to actually show this. Yeah, your culture is going to be something like Hobbit of the Shire. Your standard of living is going to be based on your culture, so I think they are common. Cultural blessing will be based on your culture. There'll be a specific cultural blessing there. You just put the name of it in. In fact, we can look this up very quickly. Why not? Let's go to Hobbits. Hobbits of the Shire. You can see here their standard of living is common. Their cultural blessing is called Hobbit Sense. So we just type that in here, Hobbit Sense. Shadow Path is based on your calling, so you just pick a calling from the drop-down menu here. So Frodo was probably, oh man, I don't know. He's a messenger, isn't he? He's delivering some jewelry to you know, to a very important customer. So we go to callings. We look at messenger. They have the Shadow Path Wandering Madness. Whoops. With a hyphen. So that's all we're doing. Then you would come here and you would start typing in skills, or adding the skills for the culture, for example. I'm not going to go through and do all this. This is basically just showing you how it works. But you can see here, for their attributes, you choose, like, I'll roll a d6 very quickly. I rolled a 3, so we got this 2 set. Oh my god, 2 strength. The one I've created for our stream, I rolled a 6. It also has a 2 strength, 266. But 275, and that, I mean, Frodo's not the strongest of hobbits. He's definitely got a great big heart, so that kind of makes, I think that probably works quite well, actually. And his wits are quite good. So we're gonna go with 275. We come down here to, oh god, I'm trying to remember how we did this last time. I think I might need Hervé to help me here with how you change. In fact, we'll just go here and look at it here. So character, you can see these numbers are here. One thing to point out actually is there's a bit in the rules that talks about, if we start at the very beginning here, I think it's at the beginning here. Characteristics. And basically, you get your target number, which is derived. Here it says each attribute is equal to 20 minus its corresponding attribute score. Oh, I just put that in the little. Okay, yeah. But you can actually change that. So if we come up here to the configuration tab, configure settings, and I go to the system settings here, you can set the target number base value from 20 to something else. And you can see here that the advice in the book says if it's a one shot, it can be 18. So if I hit 18 there, hit save. Let's see. I might need to, oh, it's changed to 18. So then I'll put in here 2, 7, and you can see it's subtracting from the 18 and 5. So it's doing it automatically there. Yeah. But this will assume that you're going to be running a campaign with this game. We're going to come back, we're going to change it back to 20, hit save, close. I'm going to open it again, and then it should be back to normal. Yeah, so strength of 2 means the target number is 20 minus 2 is 18, so that's correct. Okay, so that's how you get your target numbers, how you get your attributes sorted there. You would then add the various skills as they are here. So they get this kind of layout of skills. We get like 2 awareness, 2 song, 1 craft. I'll just do it for those ones first. 2 awareness, 2 song. That's not right. 1 craft, was it? Yeah, that's right. 2, 2, 1. Yeah. Okay. And this is where it starts getting interesting. Distinctive features, flaws, rewards, virtues, etc. Now this is where you're going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting as a GM to get this basically working. And the way we do it is we come over here to items. And I'm just going to hover here, items directory. We're going to create an item. And the item's going to be, we can see if we drop from the drop down menu here, we've got traits, fell abilities, skills, armor, weapon, miscellaneous, rewards, and virtues. Let's start with a trait. And just hit, okay, I need a name for it. We'll call it trait. And you can see here the trait groups are specialties, distinctive features, and flaws. And the way you would do this in Foundry, this is where having a premium module, this will all be pre-populated for other games that have them. Because we're not getting that, you're going to have to do this for every game that you've got. Or at least once for Foundry for your, like, the One Ring instance that you're doing. So if you're going to be running multiple campaigns of the One Ring, you would only have to do this once, and then you could basically export, or you could copy the entire instance of the world to another one, and then that would all be pre-populated. So if I kind of come across here and I look for example, okay, let's go back to here to the Hobbits of the Shire, and we have here a distinctive features, and you can see here we've got like eager, fair-spoken, faithful. In fact, I'm gonna go over to characteristics, and we're gonna actually copy some of these. So let's go to distinctive features here, bold. We've got a distinctive feature of bold. I'm gonna highlight in my PDF, highlighting the text here, copying it with a Control-C, and we're going here to distinctive feature. The name of the distinctive feature is, we're gonna hit here, I'm gonna hit save, and it's not called trait, it's called bold. Alright. We got this thing called bold. Now I can drag this now, and I can drop it on my character sheet. Now my character sheet has bold. I can click on it once, or click on it here. There we go. And it drops down, it gives me the description that I've copied from the book. And this is where the licensing, the copyright comes into play. Because if I was to then share all this, if I'm gonna go through the book, and I'm gonna copy every distinctive feature from the book, into the items menu here. And I'm going to also create a folder here and call this distinctive features, by the way. Distinctive features. Drag that and drop it in there. So now we've got, you know, we're gonna be creating lots of items here. I obviously can't share that because this you can look at it on screen. That's absolutely fine. But if I'm gonna actually share that with you as a file that you can use in your own games, I'm breaching kind of copyright law. So it's a big no-no. Please don't ask me to share anything with you. I have actually, for our campaign on my other instance of Foundry, I spent many hours going through and adding literally every single one of these items, all of the weapons, all of the armor, all of the items listed in the book. I've put them all in. In fact, I'll just show you what it looks like because I've got it open here. So this is the live version of the One Ring that we're using for our campaign, right? So this is a different instance of Foundry. If I go to the items tab here, look at all these things. If I click on rewards, we've got the various rewards that are available here. I think I didn't do all the rewards, I actually think these are all the rewards. And if you click on them, I've copied the text. I've even done the formatting, like I've put bullets in bold, etc. So I spent a lot of time doing this just because I'm a perfectionist and I like, you know, torturing myself. Traits, look at all these traits. There are all the traits from the book are in here. If you click on them, they like the text has been copied from the PDFs. Virtues. We've got the Hobbit, because we're all playing Hobbits in this. I only needed to copy the virtues from the Hobbit culture, and in fact, not even using any of them. War gear. Click on that. We've got all of the equipment. We've got the weapons. We've got the various items here. We've got like how much protection it offers, its load, what armor group it's in, special like all the text from the thing. It's all been properly loaded up. That took a long time to create. It's going to take you a long time to create. You don't have to be as perfectionist as I am with creating them like this. But basically it means when you come to your actors and we open up, for example, a PC, I'm going to open mine, which is Tobold Hornblower. And I scroll down. You can see I've got my instinctive features here. Inquisitive, click on it, it drops down. Keen-eyed, click on it, it drops down. Burglary, click on it, it drops down. Fell weapon, this is what it does, etc., etc. I can click on my bow. I need to select somebody to attack. It opens it up instantly with all the stuff that it's got. I can adapt its values because it's a fell weapon. It has, I think my injury value gets modified. But all this stuff is basically, I can drag and drop, and it just makes it really easy to do this. Even the equipment, you can create new pieces of equipment, of course, but yeah, like useful items. I've copied the examples from the book in here. Dark cloak to stay hidden. It just puts stealth, like what it's helping with. And if somebody wanted, like we had, I think one of our players, Ed, wanted to have a useful item that wasn't in the book, which is absolutely fine. He asked the GM. GM said fine, which is Charlotte. And we added the useful item to the list. And then we could drag and drop it onto his character sheet. So this is what it looks like when it's done. But yeah, it's a long process. I'm going to move this out of the way. And that is basically... Yeah. Hervé is saying that the trait feature, when you're clicking on create item and trait comes up, that's going to change. It's going to look like something else, and that's just because in the first edition of the One Ring, it's called traits. And again, remember this was ported over from that. So, yeah, I recommend for, I've called them traits, but I would recommend like for each of these different types of things, just to make it easy to find them. You create a folder for all the different types of things you want to create. Then you need to create the items, drop them in, copy the text from the PDF, drop it in. It's going to take you time to do that. And yeah, that's how you basically populate these. That's how you populate these character sheets. So that's one big thing. I'm not going to go through and do it because it takes a lot of time to create lots of them. I might do one more, which will be, we'll go here, create folder, and we'll call this War Gear. And what I'll do is in here, click on the feather to create an item within there. And we're going to go type is weapon. And we're going to call this, let's have a look in the book what they're actually called here. I think it's up in characters. Here we go. Weapons. Let's just pull out a simple short sword. 3 damage, 16 injury, 1 load. So short sword. Like Sting. We've got Frodo here, right? So damage, what did we say damage was? Damage of 3. Damage of 3, 16 and 1. 3, 16 and 1. So we got 3. Got an injury of 16, and we've got a load of 1. The group is swords. It's not two-handed, it's not ranged. And notes, we'll just leave that blank for now, because there's nothing in the notes here for short sword. That's basically it, right? Description, I mean, I can put a description if there is one. I'm not sure there is... Anyway, I mean, it's a short sword. You don't even need a description for that. Hit close. Short sword is there, and we can basically say, well, look, Frodo's got a short sword. He's got Sting. So here we go. We've got short sword. We could add a as one of the rewards. We could add some sort of trait to the short sword to make it like, and we click here on equip to make sure that it's equipped. But yeah, basically in a nutshell, that's how you create this sort of stuff, and it's pretty straightforward here. It just looks like this. You can modify these values if you want to whatever they need to be from having a reward that might adapt it. And obviously having combat proficiencies is important as well. But I'm not going to get into a review of the game or talk about the mechanics of the game here. This is really trying to keep it focused on Foundry. So that's how you create PCs. Let's close that. Now we're going to look at the other types of actors you can have. So we've got Frodo created. We're going to create another actor. We're going to call this actor, let's look what we've got here. Community, we'll call this the Fellowship. Right, we'll create the actor. And we're going to create another actor, and we're going to call this Samwise. Samwise is a character. Create him. Alright. And I should have capitalized the S. Sorry there, Sam. We'll create a folder. We'll call the folder PCs. We'll drop Frodo, and we'll drop Samwise in there. We'll create another actor under PCs called Merry. We'll just get the 4 hobbits going here. And Pippin. So nice and quick here. We're acting out the starting phase of Fellowship of the Ring after they decide to leave and they're being pursued by the Ring Wraiths. So the 4 of them are on their own. Gandalf's not with them. They're making their way to the Prancing Pony in Bree. But we can open up the Fellowship sheet here. And you've got Fellowship points. You can change that. You just kind of change the number here, whatever it happens to be. Not 324 for sure. Members is empty. So which members are members of the Fellowship? We drag Frodo in there. We drag Merry in there. We drag Pippin in there. And we drag Sam in there. Available members for travel are here. We can add patrons as well. If we've got NPCs, we can drag and drop patrons in there. Connections. Just a quick one. Connections is spelled with a CT here in English. Just a quick, as I'm noticing things, I may as well mention. And yeah, we can actually say here, like, basically for travel, the travel rules in the One Ring have people fulfilling specific roles. So your guide, they use the skill travel. The hunters use the skill hunting, etc. So we'll say, okay. Our hunter is going to be... Oh god, I don't really care. We'll just drag them and drop them like this. So Frodo's doing that one. Merry, Pippin, and Sam. And you just basically drag and drop people to where they belong. And there you have them. And I think... Can you click on them? No. Maybe if you do... Alt-click. No. Shift-click. Nope. Okay. But this is just a way to kind of see like who's fulfilling the different parts of the travel phase. And again, you can drag and drop them out if you want to like change them. If you've got more than 4 people... swap up where they are. And that's how the Fellowship works. We'll come back to the Fellowship and we'll add some NPCs to there as well for like patrons. In fact, we'll do that now. We'll create an actor. NPC. We'll call this Gandalf. Gandalf is friendly. He's got an attribute level of whatever we want it to be. We'll give him an attribute level of... I don't know. I've actually looked at the Lore Master section. Oof. I'm not going to read through this live. So whatever you would set that to be, whatever that however that matters in the game, what that number needs to be. Tools, adversaries, evil men, treasure, lore master characters. There we go, lore master characters. They've got distinctive features, blah, 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 the shadow. Oh, let's see some examples. Evil men, attribute level 4 or 5. So the higher the attribute level, the better they are. Fine, that kind of makes sense. So what's Gandalf on the scale of? Let's see if we got any like. I guess spoilers for people who are characters. Let's give Gandalf a, I don't know, like a 10 attribute level of 10. So a question in the chat from Mohammed is, can there be more than one hunter? You can have more than one. I don't know. I haven't actually checked the latest rules on that, whether you can have people assisting with more than one role. But you need all of the roles to be fulfilled while you're traveling. So if you had 5 or more players, then maybe somebody could help. But you'd have to read the rules to find out. But it's the hunting skill that you need to do the hunting. So you'd want somebody like this is always a big like kind of strategic element to decide when you're doing the traveling who's taking which role, because it might be that some people have. It might make sense for somebody to do the if we just open it again, fellowship. You might want somebody to be the guide who isn't necessarily your best at travel, but because the person who's best at travel, say with 2 pips in the travel skill, is the only person who has the hunting skill. And therefore, you might put somebody who only has 1 pip in travel in the guide role, because you want the only person who's got training in hunting to be your hunter, for example. So I don't know how it works with like doubling up. We can see if you can actually drag and drop like more than one person in the same one. You can. So it looks like that is absolutely a possibility. At least in Foundry, I don't know with the latest version of the rules how that works. Okay, Herves just said you can have 1 guide and you can have more than one for the other roles. So thank you very much. That's cool. Oh, just while I got that open, so Gandalf here, he's got endurance, whatever that happens to be. We'll put it at 15. I have no idea. Max of 15. Specialties, distinct features. So here again, we could actually go to the items menu. We can go to the distinctive features. We could drag bold in there. If there's relevant skills, we can add skills in here too. In fact, when we go to create an item and we go to trait and we call this skill 1, you can see here under trait group. Oh no, it's not there. Sorry, that's wrong. That's wrong. Let's delete this. Delete. Yeah, I'm sure. Create item. It was a skill here, wasn't it? There we go. Skill. We'll call this hunting, for example. Create it. Skill group is which skill group is it under? I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. We can always open Frodo and have a look. It's under 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th one. 1, 2, 3. Survival. That makes sense. And the associated stat is strength. And then we could put the description from the book for hunting. Anyway, there we have hunting then, and we could say, I mean, Gandalf isn't good at hunting necessarily. I've never seen him. He's never hunted in the books. But you could just drag it there and say, okay, Gandalf has the skill hunting. Oh, I'm trying to drag Gandalf onto himself. Hunting as a skill. Voila. There we go. We can say how many pips he's got in it. So again, I'm holding Alt down. Gandalf is a great hunter. And that's basically what an NPC looks like. Okay. We come back here then to the Fellowship, and we can say patrons. Gandalf is a patron. And he's gone into the connections bit. Let's get rid of him there. I think I need to hold Alt, don't I? Yep. Let's try that again. Drag into patrons. So I guess that's something to look into as well. Looks like there might be a little bit of an issue with adding patrons in. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so the name field is auto-populated from your PC. Location you would type in here and say, I don't know, Hobbiton. Click on the arrow. Yep. I'm not sure what you mean by clicking on the arrow. Oh, up. No. Oh, Alt, up. There we go. Okay. So holding Alt and then clicking on the arrow, it moves it up to the patron. So I guess you just drop them down if there's any kind of connection, and then it will move them around to be the patrons. Right. Gotcha. Okay. Okay, good to know. I've not actually tried that before. So yeah, that's NPCs. Then obviously the players won't see this, but you could then create the other. Let's look at the other ones very quickly. We've done the community one, which is Fellowship. We've done the character one. We've done an NPC. I have no idea what lore is for. some kind of lore based thing. I have no idea what that's for. But again, I haven't read the latest book front to back. And adversary, we'll call this a warg. Create a new actor. Hostile, instantly ticked as hostile. And it has more, as you can see here, more than the NPCs have. NPCs, it's not assumed that you're going to be fighting with them, so it doesn't have things like might and hate. It did have endurance, and it had an attribute level, but it also has no parry or armor. So I think even if you think that the NPC might be something that the players might be fighting against, or someone that the players might be fighting against, it's worth adding them as an adversary just so you can have the stats there ready to go. Otherwise, you have to create a new actor on the fly for that character, so that you can use them. You can use Foundry's automation to have a battle with them. I think. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to add these instantly. But yeah. Anyway, combat skills you can add here. You can yeah, so things like, I mean, I don't have the combat skills added, but you can add combat skills here to add them in here. So like for swords or bows or whatever, the ranks they have, how much damage, etc. Now to do that, actually, it's probably a different way to do this. So I'm going to quickly look at what I've done it in the other instance, or how Charlotte, our GM, has done it in the other instance, because I've not seen that. So okay, so it looks like she has actually created fell abilities. I mean, it looks like you just take the war gear, drop it in here under combat skills. Yeah. So you can just drop the weapon that they've got and say, okay, they've got a short sword, even though it says combat skills, it's just an item. And then you give them however many ranks they have in it. It automatically fills in the damage and the injury, and you can edit that, of course, if you want to change that. So that's quite a handy way. You don't actually have to create skills for that. You can just drop weapons in. Fell abilities, you would need to create them from the book, and we can create one very quickly. Create a folder, fell abilities. Create the folder, and I think these were also traits. So we hit this one, and what does a warg have? I'm sure I saw a warg here. Wargs. So we'll go with a wild wolf here. A wild wolf has the fell ability Fear of Fire. So I'm just going to copy that. We're just going to add this one as the only one here. Fear of Fire. Fell ability is right there. Create the new item. And get rid of the line breaks. Hit save. And there we've got a fell ability Fear of Fire. Drag that on, and there we have it. There's also obviously snake-like speed, where we would type that in as another fell ability and drag and drop it in. Let's create one here and say this is skills. Put hunting in there, just so it's nice and tidy. Yeah, and there we've got our warg. And in fact, we'll just quickly look at it here. Attribute 3, endurance 12. So 3, 12, 1, 3, 3, 12, 1, 3. No parry and armor of 1. No parry because no shield. Armor of 1. Interesting. I'm not sure how to increase that. Keen Knight and Grim yeah. I think Keen Knight and Grim are both distinctive features. So if we go back to characteristics, and we look here at distinctive features. Grim. Nope. Keen Knight is definitely there. But Grim isn't. So Grim would be somewhere else. I think Grim might be on one of the callings. These additional distinctive features. So we've got leadership, enemy lore, folklore, rhymes of lore, burglary, shadow lore. So no, it's not. So I mean, maybe there's some specific ones you get for lore master characters, distinctive features. Anyway, you'd have to find it. But yeah, anyway, so that's what they look like. This is how it kind of look. I need to figure out how to get the armor. I guess it's got, if I click on the delete button here, what happens there if I hit no armor? Nothing happens. So you can delete the armor if it had armor there. I guess I could just create I could create some war gear and call it fur as armor. Protection 1, load 1, armor group, leather armor, I guess. Close that. If you drag that on, there we go, fur, and it's got the 1D. So that's how you do it. Yeah, and then we've got fur for the we got the armor for the wolf that we need, or the warg. And I've seen that because there's a bit of a lag here on the video with the chat. I've seen that Hervé's just told me exactly to do what I've done. So yeah, figured it out. Yeah. Okay. So close. Any other thing we need to do here? I think we're done on this bit. I don't know what the lore is for. Oh, lore is for Gandalf. Right. Okay. He's just said. So, yeah, Gandalf should be lore, not NPC. This Gandalf should actually be. Oh God, I don't know. I mean, this could be. Who could this be? My mind's gone a complete blank here. Elrond. Maybe that should be lower. I don't know. Maybe these are too powerful, these people that I'm coming up with. Who's somebody else we could do? Bilbo. Bilbo. There we go. Bilbo is not a great hunter, but who cares? So Bilbo is the NPC, and the lore would be Gandalf. And I guess Gandalf doesn't get stats because he's so powerful. He's just there with descriptions and stuff. It can be a patron. Sure, they can be a patron. Hold down Alt to be able to click the button. And there we go. Oh, that wasn't ticked before. Interesting. So if I go to Fellowship and I drag Gandalf down here. Okay, I can move him up. Yeah. If I didn't have that button ticked, can I move him up? I can still move him up. Okay, that's fine. Well, maybe I can't if I close this and reopen it. Gandalf, move up. Oh, okay, it lets me do it. That's fine. Okay, anyway. He can be a patron. Okay, cool. What else do we need to do here to show you what can be done? Obviously, if you want to change things like, the image, you just click on it once. Hervé said that if you go to the core data and you go to, or maybe user data, up to the top, and we go to systems, Tor 2nd edition, and we go to assets, maybe images, tokens. We got some tokens and things here. So we could actually come up with the adversary token, select a file. Then we got the adversary token straight away, that looks quite nice. Go up. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna just stick with let's stick with that one. Why not? Gandalf. Yeah. Anyway. So, what are some other things we can look at doing? If you want to come up with if there's some images you want to use from the book for your own Foundry. Again, you shouldn't be sharing this stuff. But if you've got the image from the book, the way to do it is like if you want to use this for your character, right? Take a screenshot of it, save it as a PNG, convert that to a WebP format, and then you would come back here and you would say Frodo, for example. Click on there. We're gonna systems assets. We don't want to go to system assets. We want to go to worlds, and we're gonna create a new folder here that's called assets. And under assets, we're going to put portraits, or actors, actually. And under actors, we're going to choose a file. We're going to go to my role-playing folder. We're going to go to my campaign folder. We're going to go to Three Skulls Tavern, the One Ring, and we're going to click on which one looks like Frodo. None of them. That one. Why not? Roramac. Select file, and there we go. Frodo looks like that. Frodo looks like that. Now, if I drag and drop him on, he's not gonna. Is he gonna look like Frodo? He is gonna look like Frodo. There we go. And what we can do is we can go to the Fellowship one here. We can change the icon for the Fellowship, which is also pretty cool. So go to Systems, the One Ring, Assets, Images, Tokens, Companion, Select. There we go. And when we drag that on, we've got the Fellowship moving around on the map rather than the individuals. Yeah, click on that, double click on that, and it brings up the Fellowship thing where you can see other people. I think if I... Yeah, unfortunately you can't double click. It's a shame you can't double click on these or single click on these and open up those character sheets straight away. Maybe there's a way to do it, I don't know. I'm holding Alt, Shift. Nope. But yeah, anyway. That's all good. So one thing I wanted to show, I've got this actor thing. The kind of really cool, so if I hit that lock button, it keeps this locked to the bottom of the screen here. If I drag Frodo and I drop him down here, Frodo is now in my macro bar. That's the module I was talking about called Actor Sheet Macro. And now at any point I can click on Frodo, and one click on there brings up his character sheet. I can have this shrunk. I don't need to open it up. If I need to access my character sheet, I just literally just click there, and there it comes. Likewise, I can drag anything from the actor sheet in here. I can drag the Fellowship actor asset in there. Click on that, and it opens up. So that's a really nice module to be using. So let's just delete that very quickly. Did that delete the entire actor? No, good. Okay, GM screen. I wanted to show this as well. So if I click on the GM screen and I want to drag and drop something in here, so I open this up and I'm going to drag Frodo in here. And look at that. Frodo is now populated in my GM screen. So at any point, even if I'm hiding this macro bar, so the macro bar is gone, I can click on my GM screen. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on a second. That's because my thing's in the way. If I get rid of my face here, you can see down here I've got this little GM screen icon. If I click on that, it opens up the GM screen, and here we've got Frodo. I can go in here, I can modify things, I can type in it, I can hold down Alt and I can add skills, I can hold on Shift to take away skills, I can drag and drop stuff. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Okay. Wow, the icons have not really responded well here to however it's been set up. So that's something to be aware of. But the kind of the nice thing is, if you just want to quickly reference something or you want to roll a skill and click on like on awareness, boom, it automatically lets you do it very quickly. Just click on it and it goes away. And this is another nice way to be able to quickly see PCs, compare them. I can also, it could stay small like this. I can drag the warg and drop it in there. Nicely compressed until we get to the short sword, which is just ridiculously big, and the fallibility. So I'm not sure why that's kind of scaling at such a massive size. But yeah, anyway, and I can always come back here and say I want this to actually span 2 columns, but I only want it to be 1 row because I'm happy to scroll with my mouse, and there it's got a bit more room to breathe on the thing. So these are all things you can do with the GM screen. I just wanted to kind of show that now that I've got some actors. Yeah. All right. What else do I want to do? What else do I want to show? Let's talk about. So yeah, tokenizer has been brought up as a token, as a way to create tokens. I don't actually like tokenizer because I use something called Token Tool. No, I don't use Token Tool. I use, what is the program called that I use? It's called, oh God. I'm trying to remember now. Wow, Bing. I'm using Microsoft Edge. I hate Bing. Token Stamp 2, there it is. This is the one. I'm going to put this in the description. This is a great little online tool here. You basically drag and drop an image from your computer. So again, I'm going to bring up this, I'll show you how I did this before. It could be any size, it doesn't matter. So I'm just in my File Explorer in another place. Let me bring my picture back up so you can see my face. Here we go. I'm taking a picture here of Lobelia Brace Girdle. It looks like this. Okay, this is what the image looks like. This is showing you what it's going to look like in the end. But I basically can just resize it, put her where I want her, like that. I can change the border. I can have no border, so it just literally looks like that. I can have like blue borders. I can have metallic looking borders. All sorts of different options. I can change the color to whatever color I want. Wobbly borders that also like create this nice wobbly background. You got this nice little like arrow bit going off to the side on this one. And yeah, when you're done with it, literally you're finished. You can click download, or you can right click over here and go save image as, and it comes up, and there I've got a PNG. We'll call it download.png, hit save. And if I open that file now, look at that. I've got a PNG of that token. That's 100% magnification as well. If I check how big that file is, so the original file was 600. This original file here, the square file, is 687 kilobytes, and the saved token is 111. So what I could do is a PNG file. I could drop that into here, and we'll see how small that changes it. We're gonna go to downloads, download PNG. There it is. Start conversion. It should go very quickly. 18. So it's gone from 111 to 18 kilobytes. Again, 111 kilobytes is not going to really slow anything down in Foundry. You don't really need to do it for that. But if you wanted to, why not? Token Stamp 2 is a really great tool. I'm going to copy the link here very quickly. Okay, I'm back. My internet crapped out. I've lost 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes of me just jabbering about stuff. I was just trying to go back into Foundry to look at creating some tables and creating some macros for doing rollable tables. So I was going to do the Journey Events table from the Lore Master's book, and that's when I noticed Foundry started acting weird. I couldn't actually save things properly. It wasn't saving new tables. I was creating a new table, typing it in, clicking create new table, nothing happened. And that's because my internet had crashed and nothing was being saved to Foundry. Foundry was still open in my browser, but nothing was actually being saved to it. And that's when I noticed that the YouTube stream had also dropped. So I had to restart my router, restart my computer, and here I am back again. It's somehow, despite restarting a router and my computer, I can still continue the stream, which is quite interesting. Just once everything gets up and running again. So I'm going to end the stream here just because I'm a bit frustrated at that. It's kind of taking the wind out of my sails. I will come back and I will do follow-on videos for doing Foundry in Foundry tutorials, basically. There are a lot of people who have created some really good Foundry tutorials, some basic tutorials on how to use Foundry, how to use certain, certain big game systems like D&D or Pathfinder, etc. in Foundry. So if you want to kind of get a good overview of how Foundry works, ask in the communities, watch those videos. I don't want to kind of recreate that content. What I'm looking to do here is very specifically look at the free league content, because that's what my channel is all about, and looking at the tips and the tricks, the good kind of modules you want to be using, macros that could be quite useful for you, etc. And that's the kind of tutorial videos I'm more likely to be creating here. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, and you're not already following, hit the subscribe button. You'll get alerted to new content as it's being released. Hit the like button if you found this video useful. All that stuff helps the YouTube algorithm to help me get noticed by more people. It helps the channel to grow. And yeah, that's me. So, cheers. Thanks very much for watching. And I will catch you next time. We're going to be back next week for our continuing, just while we're on the subject of the One Ring, we're going to be running episode 3 of our current mini campaign next Sunday. So if you want to see where we've gotten to so far, there's 2 previous episodes. They're each about 2 hours long. You can go back and find them on the channel. Yeah, and I think there's only going to be now 4 episodes in total, maybe 5. And then I'm going to be having a baby, and once the baby drops, the channel's going to go on hiatus for a few months while I deal with family stuff. So thanks so much for watching, and catch you next time. Cheers.